Welcome back to the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg. Before I get into this one right here, this is my first time streaming from this laptop. So things are a little bit different with my setup. So I'm not sure how everything is functioning yet. So I need you guys to give me a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly. Just want to make sure that I got you guys. You guys can hear me clearly. If you can, let me know. Can you hear me clearly? I don't see nothing yet. All right, good, good. You guys can hear me. Awesome. All right. So before I jump into
Right,
this,
good.
I gotta thank those of you who support the channel. Shout out to Rock Dog Interactive. They are doing wonderful things out here. Stuff that you guys couldn't even imagine that they're currently doing. But if you need any assistance relative to your website design, logo design, AI services, they do it all there. So make sure you check them out. And then Nadaz Vodka, www.nadazvodka.com. African American owned vodka company that's unique. So make sure you guys go and support them as well. We're coming to you guys a little bit of a different time today. We didn't get the opportunity to go live last week, and I didn't want to miss 2 weeks in a row. As you guys can see, based off of background, I'm not in my normal place. I'm at my wife's parents, and so we are celebrating some family members' 50th anniversary. So um, I'm gonna be out and kind of doing things on location for the next week or so. But hopefully we can still bring you all the great quality that we normally do. So with that being said, let me see who we got in the building. We got Big Herm in the building. We got Lil J in the building. Brandon House, Skills from New Orleans. What's going on, fam? Dizzy. I see you all up in here. Shakur stood in the pocket Greg last night. We're gonna talk about Shakur. We're gonna talk about Shakur for sure. Um, and we're gonna make sure that we and so we're gonna also open up the phone lines if I can get that to work. Hopefully I can get the phone lines to work as well, and then because I want to hear everybody's opinion on this. I saw a lot of opinions in the Discord earlier today and last night, and I'm interested in having that discussion and that dialogue. So let's jump into it. Shakur Stevenson. Shakur fought William Zepeda last night, and supposedly he was going to have one of these performances that was going to set him apart at 135 pounds. I want to preface my comments by saying that I know that many of you think that I'm Shakur Stevenson hater. I just simply don't have his nuts in a vice like some of the people that I know do, and therefore I call it how I see it. Um, let's start with the good from the perspective of Shakur Stevenson. Um, he did not move a lot, and I thought that that was a good thing. Number one, he was in an exciting fight. I thought the fight was relatively exciting. I did not get to see the entire. I saw the first five, let's call it 5.5 rounds, and then from there I had to go do something, and I caught some of the later rounds earlier this morning. Um, I did not hear all the scores per se. Jason was talking to me a little bit earlier. He mentioned something about like some scores of 11 to 1. Ridiculous scores. After the first 5 rounds, I had it 4 rounds to 1 Zepeda. I thought Zepeda was doing great body work. I thought he was initiating a lot of the action. I thought he was landing some great punches. I could have seen someone have it 3-2 in favor of Zepeda, but after the first 5 rounds, I absolutely had Zepeda winning. I don't know what occurred, like round by round by round in detail, subsequent to that, because I was only able to see some of the highlights of the subsequent rounds. But ultimately, Shakur ended up winning the fight, and from what it sounds like to me, the scores were very wide. Um, the good again, Shakur stood in the pocket, and I think that was greatly by force as well because trying to move around constantly from a guy that's constantly throwing punches is not a recipe for success. That's the reason why, I've talked about this with, Terrence Crawford. I don't think you can just move, 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 move. Somebody's applying pressure. Because your legs are eventually going to give out no matter what kind of condition you're in. But Shakur did stand in the pocket. I thought he got hit more than what we would normally see. Um, but the fight was exciting. I like what he did in the fight in that regard, standing his ground some, picking his shots. That's the type of thing we want to see. A lot of times African American fighters get labeled as runners, and that's absolutely not true. What we do is we stay in the pocket, we make you miss, and we make you pay. And that's the point of boxing, as far as I'm concerned. That's the sweet science. And I think Shakur did demonstrate some of that last night. The shoulder roll that he was trying to implement, it to me it wasn't great. I know some of you guys want to say, "Oh, he was using the shoulder roll." The shoulder roll was not great. I'm sorry, guys, but the way his shoulder roll looked, it did not look like Floyd's shoulder roll. He went to the ropes a little bit too much, got rocked one time. Um, as I said before, I thought William Zepeda did some great body work on him, but I also thought Shakur did some great body work on William Zepeda. But ultimately, the fight kind of played out kind of like what I thought it would play out. And shout out to Skills from New Orleans, hit us with the $10. Good news, Kerr made for a very toe-to-toe matchup. Bad news in the process, he became extremely vulnerable for return fire. Overall, great fight. Well, that's what ends up happening, Skills, is that when you actually throw punches, you open yourself up to get hit. And he did that last night more so than he's done it in the past. I think that was partially due to the fact, and this is what we've talked about relative to William Zepeda. Zepeda doesn't have a lot of pop on those shots, man. It's volume. It's volume. It's not pop. It's volume. William Zepeda does have a style that can give Shakur Stevenson trouble, but that style is really just predicated on the volume. If he had volume with a little bit of pop with it, personally, I think it would be a much different outcome than what we saw last night. But at the end of the day, Shakur, solid performance. That was a good performance. I thought it was an entertaining performance. I don't think anybody can walk away from that performance and say something to the effect of Shakur is a boring fighter, so then why should Tank Davis be interested in taking that fight? That to me that's a non-starter for me today, based off of the performance that he put on last night. Now, do I think it was an extraordinary performance that elevates him to a level that, would suggest that, he's the top lightweight in the world or anything of that nature or whatever? No, I don't think it was that. But you can't walk away from it saying Shakur is a boring fighter. Why should Tank waste his time fighting a guy like this who's just going to run, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that that's a feasible and a logical, um, rational thinking for why that fight shouldn't happen. So shout out to Shakur for that. Now, this whole Mayweather thing, dog, and this is where I think maybe it's going to go left for some of you. For some of you that just love Shakur Stevenson and you guys, you know who you are. The ones that are constantly got the man's nuts in a vice grip, you fanboys, the people who believe that you say anything that's not favorable to your favorite fighter, then all of a sudden you are a hater. Shakur Stevenson is not Floyd Mayweather. Shakur Stevenson is not Floyd Mayweather. 135-pound version of Floyd Mayweather would have dusted Zepeda. Probably knocks him out. Shakur is not Floyd. He's a good fighter. He's a real good fighter. But he ain't Floyd. Let's stop off. I made this comparison in the Discord, and I don't understand why people didn't understand this. Someone mentioned that he was money last night. He was like money. Do you not understand? And these are people who talk as though they know boxing like they're pure experts about boxing. Do you know that Money Mayweather is a watered down version of Pretty Boy? Even Floyd has said that you guys need to be like Pretty Boy, not like Money, because he knew Money was a shell of Pretty Boy. Now, being a shell of Pretty Boy isn't a bad thing because Pretty Boy was so excellent, but Money Mayweather was not the same version of Pretty Boy. Shakur Stevenson was a watered down version of Money last night. He didn't even look as good as Money Mayweather last night. Guys, stop it. He is not Floyd. Good fighter, 28 years old. I can't call him, a good young fighter anymore because he's approaching 30. Good fighter, but let's kill this Floyd noise. He's not unbeatable. If, for whatever reason, all of these fighters that are coming that are formerly affiliated with Top Rank, they are perceived to be at this level that like they're unbeatable. Like every fighter that is associated with Top Rank over the last few years that are African American are considered generational fighters. They're called generational fighters for a reason. And is Terrence Crawford a generational fighter? Maybe. Is Shakur Stevenson a generational fighter? Maybe. Is Keyshawn Davis a generational fighter? Maybe. But I don't see anything today that would suggest that they're generational fighters. I don't see anything today that they're generational fighters. They're good fighters, and I got a lot of respect for them as fighters. But let's stop. Let's kill this noise that they're, Floyd was a generational fighter. Roy was a generational fighter. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would say mm, Pacquiao, kinda. But generational fighters are fighters that come around every so often. You don't have generational fighters that are all clumped and they're all fighting at the same time. Shit doesn't work like that, dude. So you can't tell me that Terrence Crawford, Shakur Stevenson, and Keyshawn Davis are all generational fighters. Get the fuck out of here, man. They're not all generational fighters. So stop hating on me when I say that they're not all generational fighters when I'm using logic, because generational fighters are fighters that come along every so often, not in the same time span. So, um, good performance. Do I want to see him in the ring with Gervonta Davis next? Yeah, I do. Absolutely do. Um, I think there's a misconception about people who have supported like the Errol Spencers and the Gervonta Davises of the world, as though we believe that these guys shouldn't fight each other. They absolutely should fight each other. We all feel that they should fight each other. We push for these guys to fight these guys. Nobody is saying that these guys should not be fighting the Terrence Crawfords and the Shakur Stevensons of the world. The Keyshawn Davis is at a point when he gets to that next level. No one is saying that. What we're saying is that we want to see these guys fight better competition on the way there, because Top Rank has been known for matchmaking. So it is what it is. Um, and I would love to see Tank fight next. And I think it was Big Herm that was in the comment section asking, what about the Tank news? Of course, we're going to talk about Tank, fam. Of course, we're going. Fabrizio is in the building. What's going? Fabrizio is actually who I was talking about earlier, who we had the conversation with. My guys in the building, we chop it up in the Discord, talk shit. So he knows I totally disagree with mostly everything he said. LT Energy hit me up with the $5. Clicked on to hear you hate this morning and you haven't disappointed. LT, how am I hating, dog? What did I say that was not real? He's not. Generational fighters come along every so often. Fact. Shakur Stevenson is not Floyd. Fact. He fought a good fight and it was entertaining last night. Fact. Okay. What if I said that was hating? I would like to see him fight Gervonta Davis next. I wouldn't say that's a fact, but most people will feel the same. How am I hating? That's what I don't understand. Man, Fabrizio, you don't know shit about boxing, man. I've actually been in a ring, Fabrizio. Have you? I seriously doubt you have. I seriously doubt you have. You think you know boxing. You don't know nothing about no damn boxing, man. But we all think we know boxing. It's all our opinions. It's everybody's opinion. It's my opinion. It's your opinion. That's why we're gonna open up the phone line so everybody can come on here and give their opinion, because everybody's opinion is welcome. It's all opinions. All opinions. Because anything, they say it all the time, it's boxing. Anything can happen. If you truly know boxing, you know anything can happen. Therefore, whatever it is that we believe would happen doesn't necessarily mean that will come to fruition. So let's stop, guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop acting as though we are all experts and everything that we say is spot on. It's not. It's not. Except when it's me. All right. So let's go ahead and move on, man. Before we do that, again, we got 63 people in the building, but we only got 13 likes, man. Smash the like button. We bringing you this content early in the morning, at least a little bit earlier than what we normally do, because at 4 p.m. today, I won't be able to do it because we're going to be out there celebrating the 50th anniversary of Colden and Maureen Wilson. Happy anniversary to them. Um, but I need y'all to smash the like button, fam. Smash that like button so everybody can find this content. And as I mentioned before, I'm doing this remote. So things are a little bit, I got to be a little bit different in the way I do it now. But everything should still be working. Any Hoop podcast, no, it's not. At most, it's the same. Shakur resume is better than Tank. I don't know about that, fam. I don't know about that. All right. Berlanga. What did Oscar Layla Holy call him? Edgar Bumlanga? That's what he called him? All right. Edgar Berlanga. Um, I think it was Bival is that guy that asked me this yesterday or a few days ago. They asked me how did I think this fight would play out last night. And I thought, I told him I thought Shiraz would beat him, and he didn't disappoint. I watched that fight from round one to round two. No, round one to round three. I Then we disembarked from the boat. I called Jason to get an update on the fight, and Bumlanga had been knocked out. And um I could not tell you I was not I couldn't have been happier. Um I cannot stand Edgar Berlanga. And it's not anything personal in terms of like his boxing ability or anything of that nature. Um I think this is probably one of the one times that, I have a personal feeling towards a fighter. I have a personal feeling towards Berlanga. I don't like how Berlanga uses the N word constantly. I cannot stand it. Um, Bro, you ain't one of us. You talk like you one of us. You're not one of us. You Puerto Rican, and as far as I'm concerned, you don't really identify as one of us either. So I cannot stand that. I've always hated it, and because I hate it so much, I was so glad to see him get his ass knocked out. Um, and that is my problem with Edgar Berlanga. And any of you guys that have been on this channel, you guys have been on this channel for 2.5 years now. We've been around for 2.5 years, or a little over 2.5 years. And you guys never hear us talking about anything in regards to this stuff. I don't talk race. I don't do any of that stuff. I keep it strictly boxing. I don't talk about personal stuff. I don't talk about fighters getting arrested or any of that stuff unless it's tied to an actual fight. We don't do any of that stuff on this channel. But this guy, it just irks me, man, when he does that shit. I cannot stand it. So I'm glad he got his monkey ass knocked out, and I think Bumlanga is done. It's completely done. Oh, let's see what we got to say. Oh, okay. Let's see. Alvarez couldn't do it. Canelo Alvarez couldn't do it. That's fair. Berlanga should have been leaning back and rocking away. I agree. Mr. Shan, what's going on? Fact. That's a fact he uses all the time. Facts. I cannot stand that, man. I really don't even like. I really don't like Shakur using it. Isn't Shakur Puerto Rican? Couldn't have him to a more deserved person's fact. Berlanga power has not translated since he moved up. Yep. Any Who's podcast this week. Okay. Okay. Way too cocky. No, I totally agree with all that. Salute all things. And Berlanga was never that, right? Like he's never been that. And I think celebrating the fact that you went all 12 rounds with Canelo Alvarez, which we're going to talk about here in a bit, because I believe in being fair and balanced as we cover things and using and applying the same logic to things. I'm going to apply the same logic I applied to Shakur Stevenson to Canelo Alvarez later in the show, but I don't want to digress. Um, I don't. Where does Berlanga go from here, guys? Where does Berlanga go from here? I don't think he had. I think you talk a lot of shit and you don't back up any of it, and you get your ass beat. And I think against any top level competition at 168, he's going to get his ass beat. So I don't think there's anywhere for him to go from here. Um, I think, I think he's one step away from a journey. I mean, yeah, he can go fight Plant. That's fair. That's fair. Plant makes sense. That's fair. But I think Plant has his eyes set on Charlo still. Seems like Plant is still trying to make the Charlo fight happen. So I don't know if that's where that may be an option for Berlanga, but they're going to have to move him well in terms of putting him in a position where he doesn't lose, and then get the Plant opportunity. Munguia, and Munguia suspended though, fam. So Munguia, I'm talking about like next. Where does he go next? Seems like they're gonna let Munguia slide. Okay, I didn't see that. I have not seen that. I have to look into that. But yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with Berlanga. But at the end of the day, he got exactly what it was he deserved. King of New York. All glory be to Jesus. Then it's suck my D and you BAN ninja. Shut up, man. I can't stand fake dudes, man. I cannot stand that, man. And he one of the fakest of the fake. Um, but yeah, like I said before, it all stems from the fact that he's constantly using the N word like he's one of us, and you're not. So stop it, fam. I don't really have anything else to say about Berlanga. I just want to cover it real quick because it is a part of the sport, and we need to talk about Berlanga because it did happen last night. But man, was I satisfied seeing him get knocked the out. I'd pay to see that again. I'd pay to see him get knocked out several more times actually, because he deserves every knockout that he gets. And it is what it is. Fake ninja, man. Anyway, we got 90 people in the building, 25 likes. Make sure you smash the like button or the dislike button if you don't like the content, but make sure that you are engaging with the content. And if you're new to the channel, this is the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg, where you can always find boxing related content. So make sure you become a subscriber. We are growing exponentially. We are approaching 25,000 subscribers. When we started this channel with 0 subscribers, I could not have imagined that we would have been able to grow so fast in 2.5 years with YouTube being such it's a massive pool of just content creators. You wouldn't believe how many boxing content creators that are out there. So to rise above that and get to this level, man, we're incredibly thankful. And thank you all for your support to the channel. We got 99 people in the building. Now smash the like button so other people can find this content. All right, so where do I want to go from here, man? Where do I want to go from here? We want to go to old Dev. Old Devin Haney. Um, I want to preface my comments by saying this as well. For those of you who know, I reside in Atlanta, Georgia, and therefore I have a preference towards the Normans. I go to the Normans gym. I have conversation with Brian Norman Sr. I exchange text messages with Brian Norman Sr. Um, I wouldn't say regularly, but regularly enough. And so yeah, we got a relationship. But at the same time, I would tell you that this is genuinely how I feel. Um, I think Devin is biting off more than he can chew. And Devin, solid guy. Big Herm hit us with the $1.99. Great turkey card, pushing Hamza too much. Shakur. Yeah, I agree. I agree with the pushing Hamza a little too much. It doesn't really make sense to me right now. Thought the card was solid as well. Thought Shakur had a good performance. Um, Devin Haney, uh, and Sean Porter talked about this. And Tim Bradley's talking about this as well. And they've seen both of these gentlemen up close and personal. I don't understand the game plan of the Haneys. I don't. I really don't, because they're going towards a guy, in my personal opinion, and maybe they just feel that this is a situation where this guy's the weakest link, or maybe they truly feel that they can beat Brian Norman Jr. But really, stylistically, I don't believe this is a great matchup for Devin. Brian, I was looking at some fights from Brian Norman last night and earlier this morning to try to see what it is that the Haneys may think that they can capitalize on. And I don't see a lot other than Devin being rangy and believing that he can stay on the outside with just jabs and keep Brian at bay. Devin, in my opinion, is always going to struggle with any fighter that's his size. Because I've always thought that Devin is a weight bully. I think Devin is just a guy that was able to shrink himself down to 135 pounds and take advantage of his size, the size discrepancy. That's the reason why, Lomachenko, when he got in the ring with Lomachenko was like, damn, what is it? Heavyweight? Guy's big. And as you move up, and now you're at 147, Brian Norman Jr. appears to be the same size as Devin. I've seen Brian Norman Jr. up close and personal, and he's bigger and rangier than I thought he was. Like, to me, when I see him on TV, he looks more compact, but in person, he looks a little bit more rangy than what I thought originally. And so Devin Devin won't have all of these advantages that he normally has in a fight. And I think Brian Norman is the natural 147 pounder that's going to bring power and pop. And I don't see where Devin has a decided advantage where he believes he's going to, where I can believe that he's going to go in the ring and do something special against Brian Norman. So, um, it feels like to me that they're biting off more than they can chew. I think they gave the Normans added motivation in regards to what they did a few days ago. I actually reached out to Brian Norman Sr. To make sure that they were good after the little altercation or whatever. And I'll probably try to get him on the channel at some point. I have not made any attempt to bring him on the channel at all, to kind of talk about that. But at some point, I'll get him back on and just kind of talk about the fight because I didn't really want to be in the drama of all, what happened with that. Just want to make sure that they were good. But and I can see that energy I can see that energy too, fam, from Brian Norman. When they were facing off, calling him a bitch ass ninja and all that stuff. That's coming from a place of, yeah, dude, I'm gonna get at you. I'm gonna get at you. And that's, yeah. I'm gonna, like, I already talked to coach and told him I'm gonna come by the gym as soon as they get started on camp. I'm gonna come by the gym, and I just want to get a sneak peek of the mindset of just the team, not necessarily the game plan, but the mindset. Because I think the mindset is gonna be something crazy for them. Let's see what. Okay, let's see. Porter and Bradley, both haters. How they haters? Come on, man. How they haters? Haney thinking Brian a cherry pick. I think that's probably what he thinks to a certain extent. I think he's gonna find out that that's wrong. Somebody made a comment. Where did I see this at? Somebody was talking about Brian Norman is all of a sudden punching much harder after he had his hand surgery. They need to check for a rod in his hand. Dude, have you ever thought that his hand was freaking injured? And that's the reason why he wasn't throwing it effectively. And now that the hand is healed, he can actually use it and you're seeing a different fighter. I keep trying to tell people you better look at what Brian Norman looks like today than what he looked like 3 or 4 fights ago. Period. So Brian Jr. can't, or Norman Jr. can't knock him out. Do you think Norman has the stamina for 12 rounds? Yes. This boxing, we need dudes like Devin to risk it all against the assassin Brian Norman Jr. Now that's fair. If Devin goes into the ring with Brian Norman Jr., you gotta bow your head and salute the guy. I mean, because the only fight that I can really say that I felt like Devin didn't really want was Shakur. Now, supposedly, based off of an interview that they recently did with him, they went down the line. It was a Ryan rematch, then it was Teofimo, then they wanted Boots, then they wanted, then they said something about Shakur. What? I'm doing a live stream. What do you want? What do you need? Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Um, then he mentioned something about Shakur, and then finally they ended up settling on Brian Norman. I think personally, outside of Shakur, I think all of those are really bad matchups for Devin Haney. Um, I think Tio's a bad matchup. I think Boots is an absolutely terrible matchup. Boots puts him in the absolute dirt. Um, and I think Brian Norman is a bad matchup for him too. I think Boots is a bad matchup for him because of the range. Like, I think, Brian Norman's range is a little shorter, so it could be a different outcome in terms of like the level of competitiveness. But Boots being his height and his range, I think he destroys Devin. That's a terrible matchup. Let's see what we got here. Rumble will get cooked by Ennis. I don't think so. Dead Mike, certainly. Devin kept getting up. I think he has a pretty good chin. I think he has heart. I don't know if he has a pretty good chin. It's perspective to say Boost ends Haney career facts. The game plan for Haney is to come in overweight. I got Norman by KO. Okay. Von Elliott, what did Norman do to think he going to go in there and run through Dev? Knock out Jensen Saki. I don't think nobody say he's gonna run through him. I just think he's gonna beat him. All right, Dev gonna give Brian Norman a boxing lesson. Okay. We'll see. We'll see if Devin actually gives Brian Norman the boxing lesson that you all say he will. I don't see it. Jab Queen boxing, what's going on with you? I don't see it. Maybe he will. Great. You give one way to experience right there. Yeah, like I said, man, we're gonna see what's gonna end up happening in that fight. I got Brian Norman Jr. all day long. Um, but hopefully it's a good fight. I think they're gonna go in there. I don't think they're taking Devin lightly at all. I think they're taking Devin extremely seriously, and you know, we'll just see what ends up happening. We will see what ends up happening. Let me see what other topics I got to cover here before we move to the next. What do we have here? We got. I got two more topics, but I don't know if y'all really want to talk about this other topic. But I'm gonna go ahead and make that transition. But before we get into this next topic, we got 96 people in the building with only 40 likes. Make sure you smash the like button so other people can find this content. And if you're new to the channel, this is the Angry Man Podcast and Sports Media, where we're always dropping boxing related content. So make sure you become a subscriber. Subscribers, think about becoming members, and make sure you all smash that like button so other people can find the content. Gregory Quattlebaum is in the building. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Gregory Quattlebaum is the only rational Terrence Crawford fan I know, unfortunately. All right, man. Gervonta Davis. Do you guys think, should we talk about Gervonta Davis? I just want to make sure because, some people don't really like talking about things like this. So we can skip this topic if we want to. I'm cool with skipping the tank topic if you guys want to. I'm looking for feedback in the chat. Do we need to cover this tank ordeal or do we want to move on to the next topic and open up the phone lines? Let's go ahead and jump into it. Oh, Dad might say skip to Canelo. Big Herm say yes. Let's cover it. Let's cover it quickly. So Gervonta Davis had a situation that occurred, and I'm quite sure all of you guys are familiar with the situation that occurred. And you know, everybody that's part of this channel or follows this channel know that we are Gervonta Davis supporters. Got a lot of love and respect for Gervonta Davis. And as I've told you guys before, is innocent until proven guilty. But my thing about Tank is Tank just got to make sure that he is surrounding himself with the people that are going to create an environment where it's conducive to him being successful. And right now, it's hard to say that he is with situations like this that keeps occurring. And I know people are ultra sensitive. There's a lot of sensitive as like I don't know what it is about kids that were born in the '90s and fucking 2000s, but damn, they're sensitive. You can't say anything. These young dudes that support Gervonta Davis um and these young dudes that support fighters in general, man, they just anything you say, no matter what you say, it's negative unless you meet him. right? So I I I can appreciate Tank and appreciate everything he does and think he is the second biggest name in boxing and support him and separate that from the fact that like these things that occur, this tumultuous kind of lifestyle outside of the ring that seems to continuously occur is something that's not good for him as it relates to the sport. I can say that. That doesn't make me a hater. That doesn't make me a person that's turning on Gervonta Davis or anything of that nature. I'm not going to just necessarily sing the praises of a fighter every time we have a discussion about the fighter. And this is one of those times where it's like Tank has to clean this stuff up, bruh. He got to clean this stuff up. Um, Figure out what circle of people he need around him, including because it sounds like the woman that's involved is the same woman from the past, if I'm not mistaken. Clearly, something's not working well there. Clearly, something's not working well there. And like I tell all my old nephew, my little nephews, and I got several of them. I think I got about 6 or 7 nephews. Like I tell all of them, if at any point you feel the need to put your hands on a woman, you don't need to be around that woman. I'm not talking about actually putting your hands on a woman, but if that ever even pops into your mind, whether she's being physical with you or otherwise, if you ever feel the need that you need to do something physical to a woman, you shouldn't be dating her. Y'all shouldn't be together. So I don't know what's going on in that household. I don't really care. But my advice would be because Gervonta Davis is the age of my nephews, my younger nephews. My advice would be if you feel that at any point, whether she's doing something, saying something, you guys have she's been physical with you, man, that's a wrap. You need to move on. It is what it is. Like if I was ever in a situation in a relationship, and I personally I've never been in a situation or a relationship where it's been physical at all. The woman's not physical, I'm not physical. That's a part of who you're choosing. That's a part of who you're choosing. You can't if like say for instance, I'm just throwing this out there as an example. This is simply an example. So please nobody clip this and try to make it to be something that is not. But let's say it's a situation where Gervonta Davis, where the woman is actually being physical with him, right? Then, dude, if you know that she's being physical with you, why would you stay with her? That's a decision that you're making, and it's a bad decision because she's not the type of person that you should be with. I would never be with a woman that I think is going to be physical or abusive in any way. So I don't know what's going on in their house, but it seems like to me he needs to leave that situation permanently before he gets himself into some trouble. They're gonna clip it now. Big Herm hit me with a 499. Devin Norman being same size will give B&J issues. Devin without an ego is hard to catch clean, but Norman look hooks delete memories. Let's see. No, Devin is not hard to catch. Yeah, Gregory Quattlebaum, you're 100% right with that. 100% spot on. It's like get out of the situation, man. You know, I'm not saying who's right and who's wrong. All I'm saying is that clearly you two together don't make sense. You two together don't make any sense. So let it go. Let it go. That needs to end. Period. Um, and I think that's all I have to say on that topic. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail on that because I kind of hate being in personal people's lives, but you know, this particular situation really affected the outcome or the potential outcome of a rematch with Roach, and that's the only reason we covered it. So it is what it is. All right, I want to get off this. Need to get off of this. Hate talking about stuff like this, man. Let's go to this situation that occurred last night, and then we're going to open up the phone lines. Let me see how long I've been live. I've been live for 54 minutes now. I want to make sure that we open up the phone lines because I really, really, really want to hear the perspectives of the people that are currently in the chat on Shakur Stevenson and the topic that we're going to cover and Berlanga. But uh hey, so I talked about this one. I talked about this in a sense with Shakur Stevenson, and let me see if I can remember what my argument was. My argument was if Tevin Farmer got destroyed by Schofield, then and Farmer really did some good work against William Zepeda, then really Shakur Stevenson, and I don't believe in triangles theories, but it should diminish what Shakur Stevenson has done because, or what he will do against William Zepeda, because William Zepeda, in my mind, is diminished by the fact that Farmer just got destroyed by a kid. You know what I'm saying? And I never really thought Farmer, or excuse me, William Zepeda was really like that. Berlanga went 12 rounds with Canelo Alvarez. 12 rounds. Canelo dropped once. Trash just destroyed Berlanga. Now that don't mean anything in regards to how he might perform against a Canelo Alvarez, but it could tell us, or it could give us some insight. Man, why in the hell couldn't Canelo destroy Berlanga? Berlanga's trash. Berlanga is hot trash. So if he went 12 rounds with Canelo, I have to start to ask the question, man, is Canelo really as good as I'm thinking? Maybe he is diminished to the point where people are saying that, Terrence Crawford can go in there and beat him. You have to ask that question now. So I don't, man, I had this fight when we initially talked about this, and I'm gonna talk out of two sides of my mouth because I think, I'm gonna say something that's kind of similar to what Terrence Crawford fans have done or said, yet at the same time I think we have different reasons for why we were saying it. I had this fight probably 80-20, 90-10 Canelo before. The last few performances from Canelo have been suspect. To the point that Jason Williams is making. I see your note there, Jason Williams. What has changed with Canelo? I don't know. But he doesn't look as good as he did, let's call it 3 or 4 years ago. He is definitely diminished. Um, so this fight now, in my mind, has gotten closer. It's a lot closer than what it was before. Now, I sent a picture of Terrence Crawford in the Discord, or video of Terrence Crawford in the Discord. He a fat boy right now. He fat. They try to make him look like he was big, but nah, he fat. And I don't know what the fat version of Terrence Crawford is going to look like. So it's still hard for me to say if Terrence Crawford can keep the speed and the power and the footwork at 168, which there's no reason for me to believe that he should be able to do that because that is against the laws of physics. That's against the laws of physiology. You gain weight, something's going to diminish. But if he can keep 2 out of the 3, this could be a tight fight because Canelo isn't what he used to be, and the fact that he couldn't just literally destroy Berlanga is concerning. It's concerning. Um, Now, I want to celebrate on September 13th. I want to be here celebrating, talking about how Terrence Crawford got put in the dirt. I'm not as sure if Terrence Crawford will be placed in the dirt as I originally thought. I still think there's a good chance that he will get placed firmly in the dirt. Because number one, I don't think he is what everybody else think he is. But number two, I think the added weight, the deficit in power, and some conditioning might play a part of it. But if he gets placed firmly in the dirt, I will be here celebrating amongst all my Terrence Crawford fans. And I want all of you to join. I know all you names. Like I've been writing down names. I swear, I'm gonna go look up your YouTube channel, find your email, and email you. Better have your ass on. Because you've been talking shit for 2.5 years. Well, a little over 2 years. You better be around. I don't want to hear anybody running off. Because we took our lumps when our man lost. When your man lose, if he lose, I don't want to hear no excuses. I want to hear nothing about you dared to be great. I don't want to hear nothing about, man, but it was just my son, but I don't want to hear none of that because you told me he was gonna win before the fight. So I don't want to hear none of that shit. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Anyway, the phone lines are actually open. I am going to drop the phone line in the chat. I don't know if the phone line is actually going to work because this is my first time using it from this laptop. My first time doing a stream from the laptop. So try to call in. I would love to hear your opinion on what's currently going on. It's pinned to the top. That's the phone line. Please give me a call. I need to see if this thing is going to actually even work. Shelton Moore, the added weight and the added. Okay. Greg is Santa Claus. He is making his list and checking it twice. You damn right. Damn right. Your boy better not lose. Your boy better not lose. Phone lines are open. Who gonna be the first caller? I see somebody calling in. Let's see if it works. See if it works. Okay. Gregory Quattlebaum, can you hear me? Gosh, I can't hear you. Um, Damn it, man. Yeah, I can't hear you, Greg. I see you talking, but I can't hear you for some reason. Um, Yeesh. Dang, this sucks. Um, Give me 1 second. Can you say something, Greg? Still can't hear you. Yeah, my bad, Jason. I'm on my laptop, man, and I have not. I tell y'all what. Let's do this. Gregor Quattlebaum, I'm gonna remove you. Let's see if let's try to open up the let's try to do the link. Let's try the link real quick. Let's see if that works. My apology, guys. Like this is my first time doing it on this laptop, and it's a little different. It should be freaking working though. Couldn't test it beforehand because you know that Jason man, he don't be around and stuff. He only around every once in a while.
No,
Hey, what's going on? I can hear you.
hold on for a minute. Let me break this. Okay, I'm back.
Yep, yep, I can hear you. So let me make sure that everybody else can you all hear Gregory Quattlebaum? Okay, yeah, they can hear you. What's going on?
Okay, let me make a few points. I was happy to see Shakur answer the criticism about how he performed in the ring. I
Mhm.
know some people say he just shouldn't have to do it. He shouldn't have had that. He should have been fighting how he normally fights, but I disagree. I think you have to take some chances. You don't have to be stupid and get punched on all night, but I think you have to show some of those aspects of your game, especially when people are questioning you about that. And those are the people who pay you and pay to come see your fights. So yeah, they saw him get hit a couple of times. They saw he handled it. They saw he fight in the pocket. He didn't do a whole bunch of moving. So he showed that that is a part of what he can do against this particular opponent. I don't expect him to do that every time, but it's good to know he has it in him to do it. Now, what I did like about what he did is after the fight, we was backstage and he was being interviewed by one of the guys, and they asked him how did he asked him about his performance and what the fans were saying about him running around. and he put up the middle finger and said, F them. You see, I can do it, blah, 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 blah. I think would have been better for him to do is say, well, I wanted to make sure my fans saw that I can do some of the things they didn't see me do. That would have been more gracious of him to do that. He didn't do that. So that comes down to immaturity. And a lot of these young guys are still a lot immature. But overall, hopefully somebody will tell him what I just said to him. So when he faces criticism, he answers it and then be gracious when he's asked about it again, because he showed that he can do what he can do. And that's all he really needs to do at this point. I'm not even sure who they're going to put in front of him next, but it's good now to see there's another aspect of Shakur that we didn't see before. And that's what I like to see in a fighter, that you show things, show dimensions that we didn't see, and deal with a little bit adversity and so forth. That makes you a little more interesting and I think good to watch. That's how I see him. Berlanga, I'm not surprised that happened to him. I saw what was happening to him previously and how he conducted himself outside the ring. He was getting caught up in the flash. He was getting caught up in being somewhat of a local celebrity. And now the rappers want to hanging with Fat Joe. So that ego was inflated because he was getting a lot of love from the Latinos, which is great. But you still have to keep being better. And he always came across to me a little bit as more flash than substance. He's a power puncher. That was good in the beginning, but let's see what happens when you get in with better and better and better guys. And when he fought even Canelo, I think he felt good just to be in the ring with him. But I didn't think he really tried to win, in my opinion. He didn't take the chances that needed to be taken against Canelo, even though Canelo is I'll say something about him in a minute. So I wasn't surprised that Shiraz did that, because I had been watching him. I have some friends who first introduced me to look at him that are from Pakistan. So I started looking at him. I'm like, okay, this kid, is going to be doing a little something. So when that matchup was made, I always wondered, did they prepare Berlanga and tell him, okay, this is the next? It didn't look like it. It looked like Berlanga thought he was just going to get in, get it done, and get out and, pound his chest. Didn't happen. And maybe this is a humbling experience for him, because I doubt if the Canelo fight was, because he thought it was great. He thought it was a moral victory. He went to, 12 rounds with him. That's it for Berlanga. Canelo is diminished in my opinion, but it's because he's had a lot of fights. To fight at the level that he's fought and how he compete, you have to do preparation. Preparation eventually takes something out of you too as you age.
Thanks.
And so what is going on, and from my opinion, is we're starting to see parts of that happening to him now. There was no reason why Berlanga should, unless he just allowed it. And I can't imagine any fighter really allowing anybody to go the distance where they could get caught with something too and lose. So that's how I see what's happening with Canelo. Canelo showed from this fight, I would say, with Berlanga, and then seeing how Berlanga performed with Shiraz, is that there's some diminishing there. Terrence, I saw what you said about him looking a little fat too. It's kind of, it does look kind of funny, because Terrence, although I'm a big Terrence Crawford fan, and you made mention of this before, your frame doesn't change. The size of your heart, in turn, the organ itself doesn't get larger just because you get bigger. So those are aspects that will have to come into play. I'm not sure how big, whether Canelo's hands are bigger than Terrence's hands. I'm not sure the foot size, but all of those are part and parcels of the fight. Same thing when we look about Shiraz, because they were mentioning how big his feet were, and that plays a part in your foot placement and how you can get, how easier it is to get around or get on the outside of your opponent. Your hand size. He had the length, the size, the tall. He was tall. He had all the size elements needed to beat Berlanga in the third place. And then, of course, Saranga wasn't prepared for that. But with Terrence and going up with Canelo, I'm looking for them to really structure and get him down where they can see how fast he's going to be. But as I told you before, it'll always be how smart he is in this fight with Canelo, and all of his punches against Canelo would, in my opinion, would have to be combination punches. It's not going to be any one punch. I like to see him doing the stab jab a lot, going to the body a lot. I want to see some tempo shots, but I want to see a lot of head movement and waist movement to weave under Canelo and or weave around him and come up with shots every time he has to do it. If he's smart, good, he'll do all of that. And yes, he still has to show he's going to have to be able to take Canelo shots. That's always going to be something we will have to be thinking about and worried about. But having seen what happened yesterday, I'm less worried. And I wasn't really, really worried, but I'm less concerned, I should say, than I was maybe about 2 weeks ago, So,
Yeah, so
that's how I
I'm
see
more
those three
concerned.
fights. Did you see the Katie what's Katie's last name? And Serrano?
Taylor. Yes, Taylor and Serrano.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
not, man.
I was
So I'm
okay,
actually
so I won't
traveling
talk on
right
that
now.
one.
Yeah, I'm actually
Yeah.
traveling right now. So I didn't um and I don't have a normal anything right now. So like I'm trying to catch fights on my phone. I'm rarely actually stay like at a spot right now. Like right now I got a couple hours where that's why I'm doing the live right now. So I literally got a couple hours right now, and then I'm right back on the move. So I didn't see any of those fights. I saw a little bit of the Baumgartner fight, didn't look good. I didn't see any of the Taylor Serrano fights. Still haven't been able to find like a version of it where I can really see the entire fight.
Okay.
And then, last night I saw rounds 1 through 5.5, and then I had to go be a part of a speech for a 50th anniversary. And then I saw rounds 1 through like three and 2.5 maybe for Berlanga. And then I called Jason right out there, and Jason was like, "Man, Berlanga got
Mm.
knocked out." I was like, "What?"
You were
That quick?
surprised at that?
No, I was surprised
Okay.
that it had happened that fast because, like, I
Mhm.
was literally watching the fight and then they were like, "We got to disembark." So I disembarked. That probably took 10 minutes. And as soon as like I finished helping some of the elderly people get off the boat, I called Jason. He was like, "Man, Berlanga got knocked out." I'm like, "Damn, that fast?" So that's kind of what it was. It was like he looked fine the first 3 rounds, and then Jason was like, "Yeah." When it went into round 4, he got dropped twice and then got knocked out in round 5. I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess that explains it." Right after I stopped watching, he went to sleep.
Yeah, he was going. It was evident to me that he was going to lose the fight, um, and I did think that he was going to get stopped. And it's not because I think less of Belanga. I just see how he's been handling himself, and that's what I always look. I always look at. For me, I look at a fighter's mentality, and I look at how he conducts himself in outside the ring. And when you talk to them, you try to look for their intelligence, the level of intelligence they actually have, how thoughtful they are about what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera. But what you normally will see is all the flash. You got your jewelry on, the rappers around you, the hanger-oners are cheering you on, you feeling good, a few little cute little women around you, and you forget they don't have to get in the ring with you. They not in the gym when you got to learn how to do certain things where you're making mistakes. They're not seeing all of that. They're just enjoying your shine for whatever amount of time you have it. And when you start believing this is it, you start acting that way. And Berlanga was acting that way from my perspective. And so when you go in, and I looked at him how he was fighting, I started looking at how his body language seemed to me. And it seems like he wanted to let me hurry up and get him out of here before I get her. I'm not sure. That's how I saw it. Now I could have read it all wrong, but I usually read you pretty well. And as soon as he got hurt, the first time he got hurt, you saw his whole expression change, and it
Yep.
never reverted back to, "Oh, I'm getting mine back." So
Yep.
that's how I saw that. You know.
I'm glad Berlanga got put in the dirt. Like I just have a problem with cats that's using, and I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, Puerto Ricans seem to get the free pass to use the N word. I can't stand it, man. And it's like, and he uses it religiously. Man, you're not a part of this community. Like I just saw him
Mhm.
doing some, I don't know what kind of dance it was, but it's certainly Latino. Like that's your community, and that's fine. But it's just something about that I can't stand. So I'm glad he got put in the dirt.
Yeah.
Shakur
What
Stevenson,
happened?
go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. I'll come back to that.
Yeah, Shakur, um, like the fight was entertaining to me. So like that was the plus, right? I was like, man, this like after round five, I'm like, man, this is a good fucking fight, you know. Like I
Mhm.
like this. This is a good fight. Um, so I gave him a thumbs up for that. And I don't think it was necessarily something that he did by design. I think well, you got a guy that's a pressure fighter. To me, you can't move off fight. All you're gonna do is just burn yourself out for the later round. So you have to be able to stand in the pocket some. And I think that's what he did in terms of like going to the rope some. And one thing that I thought that he did better, in my opinion, was catch and throw.
Mhm.
That was much better than what I've seen in other fights because usually Shakur Stevenson doesn't want to do anything that opens you up. Like if you catch and throw, you could be caught with another punch in between, right? So that was good. The flip side of that, though, for me, Greg Q, is that I believe, my personal opinion, I believe that Shakur knows that Zepeda didn't have the necessary pop, and so he could take a little bit more risk with Zepeda versus some other fighters. I think if you would have been in the ring with a fighter with a little bit more pop, I think you would have seen Shakur fight similarly to what we saw against De Los Santos. And I could be wrong, but I think that's part of the reason. And I think that was the reason why he wanted to take the fight because he knew stylistically, you got a guy that's throws a ton of punches, which means he leaves himself open, which means I could probably get some shots off and hopefully I could catch him in between the shot and possibly knock him out. I think that was always the reason why he wanted to dissipate the fight because stylistically it made a lot of sense for him. And then he could try to prove a point with it. We'll see what he does next. I love the Gervonta Davis fight. I would like to see that fight occur. I seriously doubt he fights in that manner against Tank because I think that will be a disaster because of just number one, Tank is a lot faster. He hits a lot harder, but he's not going to give you the same work rate. So what Tank is going to do is try to catch you with something as you're trying to throw. And if he gets caught like how Zepeda caught him against that rope, night night, you're going to sleep just like Frank Martin did. And then back to Bud. I just I I think Canelo is not what Canelo was 3 or 4 years ago. I think we can all agree to that. That's part of the reason too why I said that I felt that Terrence Crawford shouldn't get full credit for this Canelo win because what people want to do is try to compare Canelo like, and a lot of people do this. This is not just in boxing, right? This is all sports. Like if like when LeBron beat the Spurs, people act as though that was like Tim Duncan from like 2005. Like Tim Duncan was 38 years old, right? It's like it's different. Like what people want to do is then your win against the name, they elevate the name to be what the name was when the name was at its peak. And so I don't believe Canelo's at his peak, and therefore Terrence Crawford shouldn't get full credit if he beats him. My problem though, still with Crawford is I don't know what Crawford looks like at 168. Like that's a lot of incremental weight. And Terrence Crawford is no spring chicken. Like on paper, they'll say he's 37, but he'll be like a few days from being 38 years old. I'm gonna say that again. 38 years old, Gregory Q. You and I know what it is to age, and you know that even at 38, things don't quite work. I don't care what kind of athlete you are. Things are not quite the same. And so,
But this is why he should get full credit. A, let's be honest, he did not look as sterling as he should have been in the Majimov fight. He's coming up
Fair.
2 weight classes. He will be 38. Now, Canelo may be a little bit diminished too, right? Because I did say that. But you're also looking at somebody who didn't look good in his last fight, who's older and who's coming up in weight. So there's that balance to me. It's a greater balance because Terrence is going to be older. Terrence didn't look as good now. Canelo didn't look great beating up Berlanga either, but he didn't look as diminished as, or he didn't look as bad, in my opinion, as Terrence did with Madrimov. Because there are questions that some people have about whether he should have gotten the win in the first place. Nobody's questioning the fight with Berlanga and Canelo. So he should get full credit because he's coming up with more. He's coming up to the Canelo's weight with more deficits. So when he wins against all of that. Canelo's only lost to a great big guy who was greater than him, and a great small guy who was far greater than him. So those are the only real legitimate official losses that he's had his entire career. Terrence hasn't fought anybody like Canelo ever. So he's coming up. He has a lot that he's going to be fighting against in order to win. So regardless of whether Canelo is peak Canelo from 5 years ago, Terrence still should get full credit because what he's battling against when he comes up to do this particular. And he's never fought at 168 before, period. So I can't say just because Canelo isn't the Canelo that was knocking people out, who did he knock out that I'm thinking about? Oh Lord, two Jab Queen calls him white chocolate. Cato Plant, things of that, or any of the other guys he's knocked out. So no, he's not that Canelo. So both of them are older guys. Both of them, to me, probably have, after this fight, maybe if they stay in the game, 1 or 2 years left to actually be active in the fight game. I believe, in my opinion, even though Terrence has said he's going back down to 154, from what I've heard, I haven't heard him say it, but I've heard somebody say it. I don't see him doing that. I think this is probably going to be his cash out. That's what I think. And it's a great cash out, in my opinion. Going back to Berlanga using the N-word, a lot of Puerto Ricans do it. A lot of the Puerto Rican fighters do it. Hector did it all the time, and he did it at news conferences when he was talking about Hector Camacho Sr. He did it all the time. He used the word freely. But the same thing that Berlanga is doing outside the ring, Hector had the same problem. Hanging out, running around with celebrities, drinking, partying. So it seems to always happen. And I can't think of their names right off the top of my head, but a lot of the Puerto Rican fighters kind of followed that same pattern of how they behaved outside the ring. But I've heard a lot of Puerto Ricans, when I lived in New York, freely used it. And that's just something that they did. Now, whether I was offended by it or whether anybody else was offended by it made no difference. They were still going to do it. And he's just this generation that's doing the same thing. Fat Joe does it. You don't hear him publicly where, a lot of people say, but in fact, I've heard him. I've been in entertainment promotion before. I've been through the celebrity world a little bit in my lifetime for the young ones and the older guys who are out there. So they all have that capacity to do it. And it seems to be accepted to some degree as well. But I think this humbling experience that Berlanga got, I don't know whether he'll change that part of his persona, but I know he'll realize that if I'm going to be in this game, I need to tighten up all the way around. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah, man. I agree with you. The only statement I want to make, and I want to pass to this. I don't know what your name is. What's your name, bro? I see you on here, but what's your name?
So first time on video. This is Morel
Merlaw. Okay,
19,
I
man. I
got you.
haven't been on in a
I
while.
got you. I got you. I got you. Okay, I'm gonna give the floor to you in a second, real quick. I hear Greg Q, as usual. Your logic makes sense to me in regards to why Terrence Crawford should get full credit in regards to the fight with Canelo Alvarez. However, I'm never gonna give that ninja full
but
credit.
just
Never.
call me Brian though, man. Yeah.
Brian? Okay, Brian. Yeah, I'm never giving Terrence Crawford full credit. Never. All right, Brian. It's on you, brother. What's going on? What you got for us, fam? Look like you stuck. Like you froze.
Yeah, he's freezing up.
What's up?
I think I can hear you, but your video like it's freezing. Go ahead and talk. You there? Brian, you there?
Yes. First, like Gregory Q, man. Before
You're breaking up. I can't hear everything you're saying.
I come back.
Somebody trying to join the call too. 943. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can't hear you, 943.
Is it raining and storming where you are?
Not where I'm at. It might be
Okay.
where Brian is. Maybe it's storming where he is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a sunny day.
All right, what about now?
Yeah, we just heard
Yeah,
that.
I can hear him. He's gone again. Because see, it's raining here in the DC area. It's not storming, but it is raining. It's been like that for the last almost 10 days. It's been raining. So it's hard to say what could be contributing to the breakups of internet and StreamYard. What this is not StreamYard, right?
No, I don't use StreamYard.
Okay.
Yeah. I might just close the phone lines down. I can't figure out what the heck, why I can't hear anybody on the phone line. Somebody's here, but I can't hear them.
You have a mobile unit?
Yeah, I have my laptop, and everything
I'm
should
on my
be freaking.
desktop.
Yeah,
You
everything.
back?
Yeah, that's what I normally use, my desktop. You there, Brian?
I'm here, man. So is it better now? Can you hear me or see me?
You're a little better. We can hear you definitely. I can see
He's
you.
gone again.
No, I see him.
Oh, okay.
No,
You
it
see
look
him.
like he frozen. No, like he frozen again. You're right. You might want to turn your camera off, man. You might just turn your camera off and just come in with your voice.
Jason's not on with you today?
No, man, I'm not fucking with Jason no more, man. I got rid of him. It's all Greg now. No, I'm just joking. No, he has something to do today.
Yeah, you better make sure you do that because they'll run with that one.
Yeah, I know.
It'll be all over the internet.
Hey, okay, so we can see you now. Can you say something?
Yeah, now I can see you guys fine.
Okay, yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, so you can't hear me?
We hear you. Can you hear him, Gregory Q?
I can't hear him. I can't hear or
really?
see him. I don't see him or hear him.
I see him and hear him.
Yeah, I can see you and Greg.
Hold on. Let me check the chat. Can y'all see Brian? I see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody else say they can see and hear him. I wonder why you can't see and hear him.
I don't see him.
Yeah, Mr. Q, he reminded me of Carl Weathers, man.
try to go out, Gregory Q. Try to go out and come back in.
Me?
Yeah, try to go out and come back in and see if you.
Okay.
Sometimes this thing needs a refresh. Man, I hate having to use my travel unit for streaming because I've never had to use it for streaming. Let's see when Mr. Greg come back in.
Gregory, man, he looked just like Carl Weathers, man.
You look like Carl Weathers. Yes, I don't see him back in here. God dog it, man. I wish this phone line was working. Like everybody. Can you guys still hear me? Just making sure everybody can still hear me. Can it can you guys still hear me? Okay. You
Is
can
the TV acting up? Oh,
okay.
the internet keeps going in and out.
Oh, that's probably what it is on your end there. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can get the phone lines up, man. I don't
Yeah, I'm also in San Antonio, Texas too. The storms out here crazy right now.
that's probably what's impacting it too, man. You know,
Yeah, and I got
those
I
storms.
got this ghetto ass spectrum too. So
All good, but I can actually hear you right now, man. What's your thoughts?
so first of all, this is what I'll say is this. Like, obviously, I'm with you on what we don't know about Terrence Crawford at 168, but I'm gonna say this. Um, I kind of got like an interesting relationship with how I feel about Bud. I think he's a great fighter. I'm a huge fan. Like when him and Errol fought, I was kind of torn because I wanted Errol to win because me personally, like I actually know people who know Errol, and I like Errol. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also I like him as a fighter. However, just for me formerly being like in the ring and like being around boxing a lot growing up, I know what I'm saying when I look at Bud. You know what I mean? Like, and also too from a profession, like from an athletic standpoint, he does everything he's supposed to do. And that's why he has usually good results. No smoking, no drinking, never too out of. He never has fat camps. You know what I mean? Never had a. That's one thing like people have invited him to. It's a lot of sparring stories where people will challenge Bud, and he's always ready. And he always. No one's ever really gotten the better of it. You know what I mean? Like he's a true fighter. And the same thing about Earl's. But when Earl lost, and the way he lost, it was heartbreaking because obviously with the circumstances that happened with it, that was tough. But I knew it was going to be an uphill battle beating Bud just because of the matchup. You know what I mean? It's just a
Yeah.
tough matchup for Earl. I honestly don't think a lot of people, even with Earl having all the issues, I don't think a lot of people could beat Earl like that if they were able to even beat him. I think it was just one of those. Some people, Donald Curry was my favorite fighter growing up. He had certain people that he just couldn't deal with. James Toney's my favorite fighter of all time, but Griffin, he just could not figure out that style. And I'm a huge James Toney, that's my guy. This is what I'll say about Bud and Canelo, and I think I want to just kind of set some stuff straight. If Canelo beats Bud, it will not be because of physicality or physical advantages. If he loses, it'll be because Canelo's a better fighter. You know what I mean? I don't think Canelo's a better fighter, but I think where a lot of people are kind of getting off track is this, and no offense to your opinion, Greg. I've been watching Canelo for years. We all have. The only time people say anything negative about Canelo is when he goes up against people that can expose his weaknesses. Yes, he's gotten older. Yes, some things may have diminished, but no more or less than Terrence Crawford. You know what I mean? Terrence Crawford is diminished too. He's not the same guy who fought Kavyaskis or whatever. Guys get older. So I think we should just kind of get rid of the whole if Terrence loses and gets bodied, that'll be because Terrence lost and got bodied. It's not going to.
I lost you. I lost that last part of what you said. It's not going to be bodied because of what? You there? I think these storms, man, are messing up a lot of stuff here. Hey, you there? Did y'all just hear that? Welcome to the conferencing service.
Yeah, I just heard that.
Okay, I might be able to get the phone lines up. All
right, bet.
hold on.
I don't even know where you kind of cut off because you went out of the room.
Yeah, no, I was still here, man. Something's going on weird with like the connections and stuff. That's why I was trying to get the phone lines up.
Well, I'll button it up
Okay.
with this. Canelo is not significantly diminished, more so to the fact of somebody like Terrence or anybody else at that age. You know what I mean? Because Canelo, to his credit, even though I'm not gonna say anything negative about him, for the most part, he handles himself like a professional outside the ring. You know what I mean? He never gets too fat. You know, when he's ready, he's always ready for camp. Here's the thing that I don't like. People want to say that Canelo is diminished, but what are you going off of? He went up against William Skull, who has very, very good feet. I've been watching Canelo for years. For the last 8 years, Canelo's been throwing a 1-1 and a hard 2. You know what I mean? Or that shovel hook that he throws. He's been doing that for years. It's just that when he goes up against people where they nullify it, then he looks exposed. But it's the same thing. Has he gotten better as a fighter? Yes. But it's not to the degree of, I hate to say it, a lot of his glazing ass fans think. You know what I mean? Whenever he goes up against certain people who can expose his weaknesses, he looks like Canelo Alvarez. I think Canelo is a good fighter. Do I think he is great? I don't. I never have. I think that he is the cash cow in the sport. I think that he has a machine behind him, and they have awesome matchmaking. I think the only time he gets exposed is when I think he goes away from what Reynoso wants. I think when he's fought people like Austin Trout or Lauda, even Oscar never wanted him to fight Lauda. That was all Canelo. He wanted to fight Lauda because he had something to prove. You know what I mean? They never wanted him to fight these certain people, but all the Billy Joe Saunders and the disgrace that Jamel Charlo, that's you can't even compare those two fighters because you have two different mentalities. I had a lot of respect for Jamel before that fight. I have high respect for the Charlo twins, but I mean, he went in there and got paid, and he did not conduct himself like a fighter at all. So it's kind of hard to assess that fight of when people say, well, look what happened with Charlo when he moved up. I'm like, if anything, Crawford will go in there and go out in the shit and get knocked out. You know what I mean? He's not going to do what Jamel Charlo did. I don't know what that was.
I
but
agree.
when you look at these other matchups that Canelo has had, it's not that he's getting diminished. It's just when he goes up against people who can move laterally and that are quick in and out movement, and also people that have really good lead hand control, he struggles. Now with Bivol, it was really glaring because he was going up against a really big guy who has an amazing lead hand. And Bivol, to be honest, I think Bivol kind of carried him for a couple rounds. Because if Bivol had a mentality like a Crawford or somebody like that, he would have stopped Canelo. But I think it was one of those things where Bivol, that's just not the type of guy Bivol is. He's not, you know what I mean? And it could have been an agreement. I don't know. But a couple times in the 9th round, I saw Canelo's face and he was like, I need to get up out of here. You know what I mean? And Bivol was like, it's cool. It's cool. You know what I mean? So I think this is what I would like. If Crawford loses, it'll be because he lost to a better fighter. You know what I mean? But if he goes in there and does what I think he's going to do to Canelo, I don't want to hear no diminished or whatever. It's the same shit when Canelo was younger in reverse. He was unexperienced and all this. But how old was Floyd when he fought him? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear none of that. Because there's always this caveat for Canelo. Like, the dude is ordinary. He throws the same combination. You know what I mean? It's been the same for the last 8 years. He's a good fighter. He's tough. He has a great chin. He's always been flat-footed. He always struggled with lateral movement. And he's always been part of shady judging. And then you had the whole fact that I don't know when the Reynoso pharmacy documentary, when the documentary coming out, who's gonna step up and do the pharmacy documentary that they have over there? Like,
You want me to do it?
it's a
You want
lot
me to do it?
yeah. Hey, somebody got to do it, man. I don't know if it's coming on Prime Video or what, but this whole Reynoso, what's it, 7 or 8 fighters implicated or test positive? Like, at this point, it's crazy. So I feel like, look, if Canelo wins, give him his credit. I think Bud is a great fighter. I actually think Bud is a better fighter than a lot of people that
Saying.
Canelo's fought. But the
Oh,
size,
I thought
the
you were gonna
size
say
is the
Mayweather.
factor is like weird. The size is a big factor. Now I got to address something that I completely disagree with you, Greg. One thing I know about Bud, and this is something that's kind of, I know you probably have your insider knowledge too. They have a really good team over there.
I
Like,
agree.
they have a really good team. And whether you like Bud or you don't like Bud, this dude is a world class athlete.
I agree.
Bud is not going to go into that ring balloon. I truly feel like he's going to do something similar to what Mackie Shieldstone used to do back in the day with people. He's probably going to come in around 162 pounds. He's going to be a lot lighter than people think. But when it comes to maximizing his speed and his agility, I actually think Bud is going to look a little bit better than what people think. Because I truly feel like Bud has been kind of draining down to make 147. I feel like he, along with Errol, should have been at 154. Because Bud is a lot bigger than what people think. And I understand what you mean. Like, yeah, you can't just go up and weight or whatever. But we're talking about a world-class athlete who has access to elite training, who is also, let's be real, he's one of the best athletes we've seen of any sport over the last 10 years, who also is not taking any punishment and has been training and preparing physically for this fight for 2 years. It's a reason why Bud didn't want to take a fight and didn't want to have a training camp. He could have took another fight. It's a reason why he didn't want to do it. And I think part of it is to prevent injuries because they are older. But if anybody's going to go up and look good with whatever weight he chooses to come in at, I don't think he's going to come in anywhere near 168. I think he's going to be at the weigh-in. I think he'll be about 165. Because I feel like they're going to do like a slight weight cut as they get closer to the fight. But right now, I feel like with whatever plyometrics or calisthenics training that they're doing, because obviously that's kind of my wheelhouse. I think that, trust
Hey,
me, he's gonna be ready to
hey,
fight.
Brian. Hey, Brian, real quick. Let me see if Gregory Quattlebaum, are you there? Okay, so I can hear you. Yes. Can you hear him, Brian?
I hear something in the background. I can tell that somebody's there, but I can't see him or hear him. It's like it's real
No,
faint.
no. It was real faint. And it's echoing. Yeah, I know. I can hear you on the phone. It's echoing for some reason. Yeah, I'll put the link back up so you can
Make
just
sure,
hop on that.
yeah, make sure he doesn't have more than one tab open because he might be in the room twice or something on his side. He might need to close everything out.
Yeah, because I'm hearing it twice. Gregor Quattlebaum, I'm gonna hang you up and then I'm gonna put the link back in. Yeah, for some reason it's doubling, man. I gotta come back and do some tech work on this and figure it out before I do another live stream. If that sorry
You
son
better
bitch
not.
Jason was around, man, this would have never happened because I would have had somebody to test it with. Yeah, I'm throwing him under the bus. But no, man, listen, Brian, I think you're making a lot of good points, man. Like again, one of the more rational people that I've heard on this channel before. Um, I hear you on Canelo and not being what people always thought he was. I can agree with that. Um, my personal opinion though is that for me personally, this is just my opinion on it. I don't think as highly of Crawford as many of you guys do. Now, I do think he's an excellent fighter. I do. I just don't think as highly of him as many of the other people do on this channel. And to the point that you're making in terms of Mackie Shieldstone and coming in at 162, I actually agree with that. That's the reason why I said months ago that if Canelo's going to take this fight, he should have a clause in there that forces Terrence Crawford to come in at 168. Because you want him to come in as heavy as freaking possible to take away the advantage of having, speed. He's a world-class athlete. He has resources to world-class, trainers and all of that. Totally agree. But what I do know is that regardless of what you have access to moving up in that type of weight, man, something is going to give. It's either going to be power, stamina, or speed, or a combination thereof. So I don't know what Crawford's going to look like. The one thing I do know is that Canelo tends to land on everyone. And the thing that I have an issue with in terms of Crawford, to me, where it's like, so when you think about Bivol was hard to hit because of the size disparity, right? And the ability to be able to your point, that lead hand control and be able to create the distance between him and the fighter. Floyd Mayweather was just exceptional in terms of his overall defensive capabilities, right? And so it was very hard for him to hit. Man, Crawford doesn't have any of those. Crawford can be hit.
Canelo lands on everyone. Canelo lands on everyone, as in who?
Like every opponent he's been in the ring with, outside of Floyd and Bivol.
Outside of Floyd, Bivol, Lara, Skull, and hold on. And also, and here's the thing. Here's the thing that I'm not trying to say anything that you're saying is wrong. What I'm saying is, let's not talk. I agree with that. I don't want to hear about the diminished factor. It's not a diminished factor. It's when you're fighting guys who are tailor-made for you, who also go along with what you want to do. I'm gonna be honest. If Caleb Plant wasn't so happy to be in the ring with Canelo, we would have had an interesting scorecard.
I don't disagree with you, but again, let me add to that.
So don't say everyone. He lands on people that are flat-footed.
Let me add that caveat. Laura, natural weight. Terrence Crawford, not natural weight. There's no way Terrence Crawford can sustain what we saw from Laura. No way. For a whole fight.
You said no way?
So, no, not moving up 2 weight classes. No way.
You might be right. If you're right, I will agree with you. I don't really know what's going to happen with how he's physically going to look. That's why boxing is great, because people act like they know what's going to happen. But this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm going to say. Intangibles are a part of fighting. And I understand you may not think as highly of Crawford as most people do. The reason I think highly of Bud is it's not really all about just his skill. The one thing, and I heard this actually, shout out to somebody called Stormy B Man. A lot of people, when they describe fighters, they say, "Oh, he's a dog," right? Mm-hmm. They mix that up with conviction. And this is a shout out to something I heard on another podcast, and it was so deep because he was like, "Look, Crawford is not a dog. He has conviction. He is committed to what he is trying to do in the ring." It's kind of like the misnomer when people describe Crawford and they say, well, if he goes, he likes to exchange. Yes, Crawford likes to exchange. But if you look at how he's knocked people out, it hasn't really been because of some bludgeoning power. The dude places his shots in a way, and everyone talks about that. Crawford, the one thing that makes him elite is he knows how to place and set up his shots in a way where it's very unique. He throws his punches at very strange angles. And it throws people off. But what makes him, I think, special is the conviction. Canelo's going to have to beat this dude up. And here's the thing. He's not going up against a guy who's just going to wilt. And I feel like the physicality is going to be so even when it comes to, like, when they get in the clinch and when you see what's going to happen. I'm an Errol fan. Even with Errol not being diminished, you're not throwing Errol around. Like, it's not happening like that. When they got in the clinch and he was tossing Errol around, it was something where I was like, Errol couldn't even like get out of the clinch with this dude. And Errol Spencer's a very physically strong guy. And Errol, he has conviction. But when I watch certain people fight, Bud is a killer. You can say what you want to say. People say he's a different type of dude. It's the same thing that Gervonta Davis went up when he fought Lamont. Lamont may not be the most skilled guy, but you know, I know Lamont. One of my best friends is in Lamont's camp. Like went to high school with him. Lamont, he has a different mentality. And when you see people go up against certain people with certain mentalities, it's just different. Floyd has conviction. Lara has conviction. You know what I mean? If Caleb Plant had more conviction, I would have loved to see what would happen after round 6 in that Canelo fight, because quiet as it's kept, he was straight up outboxing Canelo in that fight without much foot movement. And then he started talking the nonsense about I'm doing okay as a man. You ain't gonna see none of that shit on the 13th. You know what I mean?
Some bullshit.
I really feel like the fight is gonna look different from what people think. I don't know what Crawford is gonna do, how he's gonna react to possibly getting hit. But here's the thing: what I do know about Bud, he's gonna see all of Canelo's punches. He's going to see the punches. If Canelo catches Crawford, it's going to be because Bud got careless. If Bud goes in there and boxes even half of what he's capable of, Canelo's going to have to knock this dude out. Or he's going to have to have Adelaide Bird over there as one of the judges.
And that's why I see it differently. Because I didn't feel like Mean Machine did anything special. I didn't feel like Gamboa did anything special. Crawford has been hit, and we have seen him hit. So I just don't I think a lot of what you're saying makes a lot of sense, but there are aspects of what you're saying that I'm like, I don't agree with.
Gamboa at that time was one of the fastest fighters in the world, Greg. You're talking about one of the fastest combination punches in the world.
That's fine. I've seen Crawford hit by lesser guys. He was getting hit by freaking Avanesian. Let's stop pretending like this guy doesn't get hit. He gets hit.
Dude. Greg, let's be real. I'm gonna be real, and I give fighters credit, man. Greg, these people, I hated when people came out and they talking about Greg Avanesian like he was some bum or whatever. If you watch any of Avanesian's fights, he touches up he is always competitive in every fight he's been in. That's another reason why too. Like I don't like it when people don't give people credit. Like when Bud in that interview, one thing I didn't like. I don't like it. First of all, when black fighters don't give other black fighters credit. I didn't like that shit when they asked him what was his best fighters, and shout out to Victor Postal, who actually at that time, people always have revisionist history. At the time, nobody wanted to fight Victor Postal. But Victor Postal was actually one of the best European fighters. But don't mention Victor Postal in 2025 when somebody asks you who the best fighters you fought. Come on, man. You know that Errol is the best fighter that you have fought, the most notable fighter. Mention Errol. You know what I'm saying? Mention somebody like that. So I don't like it when we diminish fighters just because we may not know them. Not saying you, but some people do that. Avanesian is no slouch fighter. You know what I mean? He's not a slouch fighter. Bud did, and we saw what Bud did to him. And yeah, you're right. He was getting touched against Kaviaskis. I'm gonna be real. He underestimated Kaviaskis. But if you look at Kaviaskis' fights before that, that's a strong dude who hurts people. You know what I mean? Like he's a strong dude. And honestly, Crawford should have never been in a gunfight with the guy, but he overwhelmed him. So I agree with you in that regard, but I don't know. I just feel like this fight has so many unknowns, man. Like, I don't know.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. It like the unknowns are there. Like, if you listen to me, you heard me say if Terrence Crawford is the better fighter between he and Canelo. Like, there's no doubt in my mind who's the better fighter. I think weight disparity and the fact that Terrence Crawford fights a certain style. To me, Terrence Crawford's offense is his defense. The ability to counterpunch and make fighters hesitant to attack you because of what's coming back has always been his strength, in my opinion. But I've always thought that he is open to be hit. And Canelo is going to walk to him, and he's not going to throw until he sees stuff open, because that's how Canelo fights. So if he can land, and my thing is with Terrence Crawford is like, I don't believe he can just continuously move. Like, to me, he has to fight something similar to what we saw from
he's not going to.
Shakur. He's
not going to. Yeah, that's what people get. Terrence Crawford is not really a big mover. The only time he moved like that was against Victor Postal. Terrence Crawford hasn't been a big mover in a while.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Let me get my boy Moore in here, man. What's going on, man? I know you about to come in here and roast me. What's up? Shelton Moore, what's up? Can y'all hear him?
You consistently a hater. So that's just what it is. You consistently a hater. I mean, you're consistent with it. I can't be mad at that. You told Greg something that was very telling. You said no matter what he does, I ain't giving him no credit. Cool, I'm with that.
There you go. There you go.
That ended it all
That's
for
right.
me,
I'm
right?
with that.
Hey, Mr. Moore.
Oh man.
Now, I didn't say that. You said it. You said that to Mr. Quattlebaum. You said, I don't give a
said
damn
it.
what he does. I ain't giving him no credit.
I said it. I'm not gonna
Because
give
he
him
beat your
credit
guy.
for the.
And I get that. You understand?
No. That's not because he beat Errol. It's not because he beat Errol. It has nothing to do with
Greg,
Errol.
I agree.
Then what else could it be?
I hate y'all. I hate all his fans.
My man here had all good points, though, Greg, especially when he
No, he
talks
did.
about conviction. Bud has more than just conviction. He has supreme confidence that never wavers in any fights he's ever been in. That's something you can't teach. That's something that you actually have, and a lot of fighters don't. But I will say Canelo did touch Mayweather a few times, and Mayweather said that when he started hurting him, he had to move. Canelo did touch Bevo, and you saw it all on his arms and on his body. So he does touch you, but any fighter is going to get hit. You in a fight, and you fight somebody who never touches you, it's only because this guy isn't trying to, even if he doesn't have the great skills that you may have. So any fighter going to get touched, and anybody can be knocked out if you're not paying attention or you slip up somewhere. Anybody, that can happen.
Yeah.
But again, because I'm about on Bud again, only because no matter what we say, you've already said, you're not gonna give him credit. So I'm gonna just go ahead and give him credit for you. But I like what he was saying. I'm sorry, sir. What was your name again?
It's, just Brian. I don't do the fake internet names like some of these people out here.
Okay. Well, Brian was saying I can't disagree with anything he said the whole time that I got back on. So you have to look at that, Greg. You have to put on the shelf your dislike for Bud and your undying, wavering desire for him to lose and get put in the dirt. And I get it. You say you don't disagree, but you do disagree because you want the man to lose.
No. There's a lot of what he's saying. And that's why I love this channel, man, because I like to hear the different perspectives. And I think what he said was articulated in a way that was intelligent and made sense. There's about 5 to 8% of it that I disagree with. And the reason why I believe he'll probably still get put in the dirt. That's my only thing. But there's a lot of what he said makes sense. And I've said that the fight now for me is 60-40, which means that I give Terrence Crawford a chance to win the fight. I just think that he has to fight a very specific and strategic fight, meaning he has to minimize the amount of movement, get his shots off, and then utilize that movement when necessary, right? So it's like I get off, I get out of the way a little bit, and then I force him to reset, that kind of thing. But if the game plan is for him to just go in there and move, he's getting knocked out. If he ends up getting hit flush, I think he's going to get knocked out. I think if he stays in the pocket for too long and Canelo starts to land on arms and chest and all that other stuff, I think eventually he wears down. But to the point that he's made and the point that I've said for a while, the unknown, we know what Canelo is. The true unknown is what Terrence Crawford is going to look like when he comes into the ring. Now, if Terrence Crawford, I fully expect Terrence Crawford to come in the ring with slightly less endurance, slightly less speed, and an inability to necessarily hurt Canelo. And that's the reason why I'm saying he's going to have to be strategic. If Terrence Crawford comes in there and he has power, speed, and movement like he did at 47, that would be weird, right? Like that just doesn't happen. So he's going to have some kind of natural disadvantage going into the ring, and we'll see a diminished version of him. I just don't know what part of him would be diminished and how will his game plan factor into that.
But it goes
Hey,
back
Greg.
to what you just said.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Smarter. That's all.
And I would buy into that. If Canelo was some big, huge guy, but he's not a big, huge guy. I would buy into that if Canelo was some big, huge guy, but he's not a big, huge guy.
Yeah, but when you look at frame, like their frame, Crawford is going to be at 168, and his frame is going to look blubberish. Canelo's going to be at 158, is going to be 168, is going to be shredded. he's naturally bigger framed than Crawford. He doesn't have to be huge. That's a misnomer. You don't have to be huge. You just have to be bigger.
But he'll be smarter because you just said when you talked about strategy, that comes right down to your ring intelligence and how you plan your fight. Terrence has never fought a reckless fight. There's going to be some time. It may be a time where they just have to exchange because that's what happens in the moment of the fight. But he'll fight a smart fighter. He'll always come in. He'll be prepared. And when you talk about getting in the clinches and have the grapple, you have to remember Terrence is a wrestler. He's not just somebody who just learned. He has wrestled. He practiced. He took MMA. He did all of those kinds.
I think that's going to be the surprise.
Yeah,
that's going to be. Yeah, certainly, Gregory. I agree with you. I think that right there. I think honestly, because here's the thing. One thing I know about people like Crawford, they're going to try and usually execute what you think they can't do. A lot of people are talking about physicality. They're talking about power. And another thing with the whole thing about, he's the inability to hurt Canelo. I have to disagree with you on that one, Greg. I'm not saying that he can just straight up knock Canelo out, but it can happen. It can happen. Canelo can get stopped. I'm not saying Crawford's the one to do it, but what I do know about this fight is there's going to be certain things you see about this fight where you're going to be surprised if Crawford wins. And one of them is going to be the physicality, and the other is going to be the body punching.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Crawford can execute his game plan, because it's not going to be about movement. It's going to be about physicality. And one thing about it is it's going to be about turning and pushing Canelo backwards. I guarantee you they're working on that. Because it's going to be certain things that you see about the fight where you're like, it's going to be reminiscent of the Spence fight a little bit. Not because Canelo and Spence are the same. It's going to be, okay, what am I going to do to this guy that's going to completely nullify and throw off what he likes to do? That the front foot that Canelo always walks off of, Crawford, he's training for that. And if there's anybody that can execute that, it's Bud Crawford. Because when you compare the two fighters, if we're comparing Bud Crawford and Canelo in the same division, it's not even a discussion. That's how I know people like that's when you really get the truth about this fight. Canelo wouldn't go nowhere near Terrence Crawford. It'd be worse than Benavidez. He wouldn't even say his name if they were even in close to the same division. And I'm looking at the fact that Canelo really never has really been a true 168 fighter. He's been strategic in who he's fought at 168. That's another thing we're forgetting. We're not talking about somebody the size of like Hamza Shiraz or David Morel, like a real 168 fighter. We're really talking about a middleweight who was very strategic in who he fought at 168 and was able to avoid certain people. Because here's the thing. There's been like 2 or 3 people that came through that division where I don't think Canelo could win again. I think Benavidez stops him at any time in his career. He either stops him or embarrasses him. So we're also talking about a fighter who, yes, he's at 168, but he was even navigated better than Floyd Mayweather's career at the time. Like that, it was beautiful how he was able to sidestep and move certain fighters, avoid Charlo, become the first franchise champion. His career is so much smoke and mirrors, man. Like it's ridiculous. And that's why I don't want people to don't diminish Canelo now. No. Let Canelo be who he is. You know what I mean? Like the Cinco de Mayo King. Let him be who he is. Because first of all, Crawford's older than him, so we can get rid of the diminished nonsense. Let Canelo be exactly who he is. That way, whatever happens on the 13th, we won't have no regrets.
Hey, Brian.
No, I can't accept that.
I heard you mention Maxie Shilstein. Is he still alive?
I think he is.
Last time I heard, he was either ill or he passed away.
Okay. And the reason why I asked that, because this would have been the ideal time for him to, and probably would have actually have been able to help Charlo as well, for him to come back, to be back in boxing, getting somebody prepared, because I love the way he prepared Roy and Bernard when they went up in weight. I mean, he did a fantastic job of preparing both of them, and I haven't seen that kind of professional in the fight game since him.
Mackie Shieldstone is still alive. He just posted
Okay.
some on his Instagram, and I
Hey,
see comments
hey
from it 4 days ago.
guys, I got hungry people I got to cook for. I'm gonna stay on the listen, but I gotta go, man. I'll catch. Hey, Greg, keep doing what you're doing, man.
All right,
Good to talk to
appreciate
you,
you, fam.
Brian.
Most definitely, man. I'll be back. I try to be back on more often, man.
All right, appreciate you, fam. Later.
No
Nah,
problem, man. For sure.
What did you say about Maxie, Greg?
yeah. So he has an Instagram, and he posted on it now. He looks a lot skinnier, but he's definitely on. There's something from a few days ago because people commented on it like 4 days ago. So he's alive. Um, yeah, I think Brian made a lot of cogent points there. I think you can. There's so many different aspects, right? So using what he says as an example, I could then argue that Terrence Crawford's career is also smoke and mirrors. That the guys that he fought are not that great. That I've seen him get hit by lesser competition. That the guys that he came up against and looked so good against were not that great. We can all point to something and say, okay, this guy's smoking mirrors. The thing that I know about this fight that is true is Canelo is taking punches from 168 pounders. Regardless if we think they were the top ones or not, he has. He's gone up to 175 and fought fighters that were up there and took those punches. Those things are true. He is a great counterpuncher and can apply pressure. And everybody that we've heard from says that he has an impactful punch. What we know of Terrence Crawford is what we know of him at lower weight classes. What we don't know about him today is what he's going to look like at 168. So those are the things that I just know. There's so many different variables that can impact what happens in the fight. It's amazing, right? Maybe some of these things that we said are true. Maybe they're not true. Maybe some things are true about what we said about Terrence Crawford, and maybe they're both true about what we said about Canelo Alvarez. But certain ones have a different level of factor that plays out in the fight. I don't know, right? What I do know is the things that I stated before, and the fact that I want to see him go in the dirt. Those are the things that I do know.
And see, that's what mars everything you just said, because you made the argument of why Terrence should get full credit, but because you don't want him to get full credit, you wiped away.
Hey, I gotta keep it honest.
I'm
I gotta
mad
tell
at you about it.
I got,
You made the argument about why Terrence should get full credit, but you don't want to give him full credit because you don't want him to win. I get it.
here's my thing. I personally, and I've told people this before, AM Sports Media wins no matter what, right? Because at the end of the day, it's boxing, right? And we all gonna have a good time. We're gonna talk about the
Yeah.
outcome of the fight. And I know people are gonna come in here and they're gonna try to bash us for not knowing anything about the sport and this, that, and the third if Terrence Crawford wins. I frankly don't care. I never have. So for me, it's all entertainment. I can't wait to see it, and I like to have the conversation about what's going to happen, and then see how it plays out. Because there's so many different aspects that's going on. Like if Crawford comes in, and let's just say Crawford has power, the ring IQ is there, they have the right game plan, but he comes in on fight night and he's like, man, this is completely different with no headgear on, with a guy that's this size, regardless of how strong we think he is in the clinch or whatever. To me, clinching and how strong you are in the clinch don't freaking matter. Yeah, all that matters is, can I walk to you and throw shots that are much harder than what you've ever felt before. That's what matters, not how strong you are in the clinch. Because I'm quite sure there's people that can out wrestle other fighters but can't outbox them. So like how well you wrestle doesn't matter. But let's say he comes in the ring and all these things are there, but man, that extra weight just makes it a lot harder to move, and he's slower than what he thought. What happens then?
Well,
You
when
know,
you have to get in
so
the clinch, you have to. It's a display of strength you have to show, and when you can move around a person and throw them off and push them back from the clinch and punch as you're getting out of the clinch, that's a factor as well. So that's where the wrestling and being able to grapple and position a man comes into play. That's strength, speed, moving, timing. Now Terrence could be slower, but what beats speed? Timing. So If he has to make up a deficit somewhere in the physicality of a fighter, it may be with timing, because you get time right, you're gonna get hurt regardless of who you are. Now Canelo does have a thick neck, which is why I say Terrence is going to have to hit him with combination punches. So a double tap to the temple and one to the ribs or to the stomach, that can make a difference in the fight. I'm just randomly selecting fighters.
I hear you.
Uh,
But
I
what
mean, I'm
happens
sorry,
when he's
punching.
throwing? What happens when he's throwing those combinations and Canelo throws in between them?
He gets caught, or he blocks him, or he moves, or he slips him. I mean, we
Right.
know a lot of stuff can happen, but of course, I'm only talking about on this side of the table what happens when Crawford lands, because we already believe, or the narrative is already out there, what happens when the Canelo lands on Crawford. But
See,
nobody
I
thinks
mean,
about what happens when Crawford lands on Canelo. So
yeah,
that's where
I
I'm
don't.
speaking of. But moving away from it, not just for a minute, and this is
Yeah,
has nothing to do with their fights.
yeah.
When I first came on to your show years ago, I said that I found that your show and you and Jason had intelligent narratives about boxing, et cetera, et cetera. And I still feel the same way. Have any of the other content creators and so forth, have y'all ever talked about doing a conference?
Um. So there's been people that we've been cool with. Marty we've been always cool with. YSM we've been cool with. YSM has been on here, the boxing source. Um, but my challenge, my issue with doing, content with people that are other quote unquote content creators is that I I personally don't like the culture of boxing, which is only one opinion matters and every other opinion is stupid. And
Yeah.
then we get into a contest of insulting intelligence, right?
But that's
Like,
not what I'm speaking of. I'm talking about
yeah.
y'all meeting at going to a weekend, workshopping, things of that nature, not coming
Oh,
online.
oh,
And
oh, oh, oh.
yeah, yeah, no,
No,
I
no,
I
we
already know that a lot of y'all can't be on the show together, maybe can't even be in the same room together. From what I have seen over the years of, there's conflict with this podcaster and that podcaster. But I'm thinking overall, because this is some of you all can build a network,
hmm
because each one of you all shows are different, has distinct styles,
hmm
and that's great for a network. And come on your show and you get a perspective and you get a type of conversation where you go to the next show, it's a little more raucous, or there's the insults that you speak of, or you go to another show and you're talking about a specific element of boxing, like Marty likes to really get into the business of boxing and the
hmm
minutia there. So I always wondered, because this is now the generation that's y'all on social media, on the internet. It's one of the things that's fueling boxing, that's really helping to keep it alive, etc. Um, and I just always wonder, because there's a certain power that each one of you all are going to have as your subscribers grow, as your influence grows, and so forth. And that's why you find even now at this stage, the fathers of certain fighters are going to certain content creators, because they feel that's a safe space for them to push their propaganda, to push their narratives of what their son's doing, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just thinking, just randomly, that y'all have a grand weekend, nice place in the sun. Content creators go out, y'all fellowship, meet each other, exchange ideas. Look where y'all can do something together. Everybody's not going to be able to do something together. I mean, that's why you have ABC, NBC, CBS, cable, etc. But in that realm, there may be 6 or 7 of y'all or more that can do something together that everybody rises up on. And also, because if there's a love for this particular sport, where your influence may be felt, that betters it for everyone. The education aspect of it is a whole bunch of this generation. that's watching boxing now, they're the ones who really don't know much about the sport, not because uh, they're not watching, but they don't know the sense of history. I mean, me being older, yes, I can reference fights from the 50s. I can do that. I can tell about, I saw this in the 60s and the 70s, which I'm seeing now in the 2000s. They cannot. So that's where you all, because they're not coming to me, they're coming to you all because you all have the platforms, y'all, and that's where having these kinds of workshops can help what you do with your individual channels. I just was wondering, is anybody thinking about that? Is anybody lobbying for you all and things of that nature?
Yeah, so I would say no. That would be my short answer. My long answer would be, so as we were coming up and we were creating the channel and we were doing our thing, we had made connections with a bunch of smaller channels. You know, I would say anywhere between, let's call it 0 to 3,000 subscribers or whatever. And we were trying, and my thought was that would kind of be that next generation of coalition in terms of just boxing channels and things of that nature. But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. After that Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fight, man, a lot of channels died. Like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of channels just died. Like there's a few people that, and I'm not gonna put their names out there anymore, but they're no longer around. Period. Um, so then when you think about like that next level, right, of just content creators, because I see a lot of content creators out there, man. You got Fanon, you got Blue Blood, you got Ego, you got Coach Malachi, you got myself and Jason, you got what's the guy? Southpaw. You got KO Boxing, I think. So there's people that I know that are out there, right? I can tell you just based off of conversations that I have, there's a lot of people that are willing to connect. There are a lot of people that are not, man. There's a lot of people that are like crabs in a barrel. I can tell
Mm-hmm.
you that some of them, like Fanon, is like a guy that'll give you a ton of information freely, freely. There are other guys that I can tell you would not. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
personally reached out to years ago and like these guys, and then I got confirmation from other people that that's not the case, right? Um, I'm all for sharing information. I would tell you anybody that has a channel that's reached out to me, they will come on here and tell you that, yeah, Greg doesn't mind sharing information, but everybody's not like that.
Yeah, I
So
know.
I doubt we would ever get to a point where you can get a number of people in a room where you can share content and ideas and all that kind of stuff to better your channel, because most people are crabs in a barrel and they don't want to share any information because, and I'm gonna tell you why I believe that that's a big reason too. And this is why I give Fanon so much love. Um, a lot of content creators, this is their full-time thing. Like if I had to guess, I would tell you it's Blue Blood's full-time thing. It's what's the dude name that's always doing the goofy? I don't want to say it's goofy, but he's the kind of,
I know you talked about.
yeah,
I can't think of his
him.
name either. Yeah, he does a little bit.
Showbiz. So I think that's his full-time gig. There's cats boxing ego. I think that's full-time gig. And man, if it's your full-time gig and that's how you employ yourself in total, then there's going to be more apprehension to share anything that will allow somebody else to maybe take market share from you. If that's the, I'm the type that I feel like I watch everybody. So I
Mhm.
watch, like if I watch shows and it's a content show, I like if I want to cover NBA, I watch this. I want to hear all the perspectives, right? So I don't look at it as that, but I think a lot of people do. They feel like they would be taking money from themselves, um,
Mhm.
and that's the way that they make their money. So I can understand that too.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that because I knew when, because I actually, excuse me, started watching when I was actually considering doing a podcast myself. But Marty was already doing it, and I ran across him and I started listening. And then, as this is around the same time the build up was getting started for the Crawford Spence fight. And I saw all the chaos and all the going back and forth, people threatening each other and stuff like that. And I like, I don't want to be putting up arguing with somebody's grandson about some stupid about boxing. And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I started watching and I said, I can enjoy more just coming on and talking to guys who actually want to talk about it. And we can have the intelligent kind of conversations, even if we disagree.
Right.
And so that has been the niche for me enjoying talking about, boxing, finding the guys that you can actually talk to as opposed to have to scream at and holler at and just don't want to be bothered with them at some point. Sometimes if you just watch, because I listen more than I talk anyway, although I do talk a lot, it's sometimes entertaining. Sometimes it's funny. Other times it's just straight up annoying. But when you said that those contact creators disappeared after the fight, the Spence Crawford fight was over, I could understand why, because that's all they did. There was no real structure. There didn't seem to be a plan to grow, to expand, etc. To make you, I mean, yeah, you want to be entertaining. You want an entertaining show. We like to laugh and have disagreements and stuff of those things. It should be because that's where you're going to learn. Nobody's 100% right about everything, and sometimes you can be right, and it still turns out that you were wrong for that particular fight.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but I just had always wondered. I thought probably would be a fun time for you all to, to meet each other, have some lunch and things, just things of that nature, because you all are doing the same thing. It's a fellowship of guys who actually do enjoy the sport of boxing still. And I just kind of threw that out there because I've seen a few new channels. I'm seeing the ladies coming up and they're being serious. You've seen Jab Queen, I like her, and Two Cent, I like her as well. And they're being very serious about what they're trying to do, and they're trying to build their brand and so forth. And I've seen you also extend yourself to both of them with the donations and come on, and I think that's admirable from my perspective. Of course, almost I guess I could be somebody's great grandfather depending on how old they are. But I just like to
We
see.
both could be. We both could be.
Who's that on?
I think that's Shelton Moore.
Hey, Shelton. Yeah, okay, yeah. So I like to see that, and it's what part of the country you in, Mr. Moore?
I am in Los Angeles, California, brother.
Okay, the sunny
Oh,
city.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I lived out there years ago in the 70s.
I thought you were in Hatersville.
No. That's you, brother. That's you. I mean, but you know what? I did Greg because it's no fun if you don't have another perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have the other side. You know what I'm saying? And everybody don't have to like the same guy.
Right.
And that's what kind of keeps me from delving more into this sphere, because people say hateful things and they say disrespectful things, and as us being older gentlemen, sometimes we can let it go, but sometimes you say the wrong thing and you talking to somebody with frequent flyer miles, I might come find you.
Do you go ahead. I'm sorry.
It gets too much, and sometimes it's unnecessary. That's the thing. It's unnecessary. You want to fight and disrespect people and their families and their relatives, and you want to do all this over a guy who, let's just be honest, I hate to use this type of language, but let's be honest, you want to do all this over a guy who would probably not piss on you if you was on fire.
Thanks.
Are you older than Jason?
No, Jason's
much older than them.
I know. I'm talking to Greg.
No, Jason's older than me. Right.
And those are some young dudes right there. Jason, Greg, some youngsters.
I know.
Relatively speaking, I would say against the gentlemen that are on the call right now, yeah, but against some other people, not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Some other people not so much. What I wanted to ask both of you was, what did you guys think of the Morel fight? Because I saw a lot of things that I have been pointing out for a lot of months, and a lot of people just don't listen. I've been pointing those things out as you start to step up in competition. Everybody, they didn't go get everybody off their shift at work and bring them to the ring. Some of these dudes can actually fight, and all that stuff that you was doing against these warehouse workers and forklift drivers ain't gonna work against dudes who actually compete in the sport. So, what did you guys think of that Morel fight?
I did not
Sometimes you
get to
can
see it.
see when a guy is at his peaking and when he plateaus. And in my opinion, I think when David Morel fought Benavidez, I don't think he was going to get any better. That was my feeling about it. I think that was he probably fought, and I hope I'm wrong if he stays in the game and he gets better. But I think he's not going to be any better than he was against Benavidez. When I saw the fight that he was on this weekend, I didn't even see him be that good, in my opinion. Um, that he eked out a win, I'm like, you don't really feel good about it. I didn't see that he really rose to the occasion in that fight, particularly after he got knocked down. Um, so I don't think he's going to be any better. Now, I might be wrong, but that's just my opinion of him. And a lot of this that we're seeing with today's fighters is a result of them not being prepared and training and really being taught. Secondly, the mentality of the fighters. They have a very weak mentality. A lot of them, not all, but the vast majority of them are being geared to get in position for the big fight before they actually have the experience and have the intestinal fortitude built up to take those big fights. When they get them, you see where their flaws are because they're not being prepared, and more importantly, the average fighter is fighting what, once or twice a year. That's crazy. If you're going to be in here and you're trying to prepare your guy to be the superstar or the face of the division or the face of boxing, you can't do that if you're not really fighting. You can't position yourself all the way up that way if you haven't had any challenges, because the first time you get the real challenge, you start getting exposed. That's why I was happy when we was talking about Shakur. Yes, it wasn't Tank that he showed that he could get in the pocket with, but he never showed he could get in the pocket with anybody before. And that's the thing. Those are the kind of things you do if you have multiple fights where you see different dimensions of a fighter. And then let's just say if Shakur fought that way a lot more, he would at least be better prepared if he should have to fight with Tank and he has to sit in the pocket a little bit. If he's up against the rope, we could see more what he can do because we've seen him do it progressively in different fights. I don't want to see a guy stand in front of you and get his head knocked off all night and don't do anything. But I want to see that you have the ability because I've seen you do it before. It also works towards your own confidence. I mean, confidence is really backed by experiences because you've done something. You can't talk your way into something and you don't know how to do it if you've never done it before. You can get lucky, but it's really backed by you've done it before. You have that kind of experience. So that's how I see Morel. I think Morel, I don't know if Morel has been out there at the parties, wearing lots of jewelry, all the things that a lot of these young fighters want to do to emulate rappers more than anything else or act like they got money like Mayweather. So I don't know if that's what he's doing. But when I've seen him fight, my impression has been he's peaked already. So let's see what happens in his next fights.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys coming on. I got to get myself ready to go here. My wife has stepped in this room about 2, 3 times now, so let me get
You
myself
got the
ready to
look,
go
huh?
here. Yeah, I got that look like okay, like the food is
Hey, have a
already
great day,
done.
bro, and
Yeah,
thanks for having us on, and just have a great day, man. Enjoy your company with your wife, man. Do that.
yeah.
All
I'll
right,
see you
appreciate
next
it,
time,
guys.
Shelton.
You as
All right,
well, sir.
guys.
All right, all right.
Y'all have a good
Okay,
one.
Greg, go ahead and take care of your business before you get in trouble.
All right, man. I'll catch up with y'all later. Peace.
All right, then.
All right, so that concludes the show. I appreciate everybody that gave to the channel. And be on the lookout for content this week. And of course, we'll be back live next week. Just got to figure out a time because, again, I'll be traveling. But for sure, we will be back. Appreciate you all. Be on the lookout for content this week. I might go live again this week as well. We'll see. But until next time, peace.